the 100-year bond. The 100-year bond was but one summer in our middle was a small stream running through. It was built by townspeople, fathers and daughters, mothers and sons, grandmothers and grandfathers, and friends. I was only 5 years old, and I held my mother's hand and watched. See, Jack, the horses are working hard, said my mother. I watched the horses for wagons of brush away. The birds cut out land to lay a fountain of grey stone. Day after day, our friends but wooden frames, living spaces for windows that my father would admire when the light fell across his butterscotch floors. They raised the frames, side after side, side after side, up and up, and climbed tall ladders to bolt them tightly to the chestnut beams. The sun rose hot. The cows, horses, and the sheep ate grass under the shade trees and watched too. Sometimes we played by the middle stream, jumping over it, laughing. One day my friend Martha fell in, which made us laugh more. It wasn't deep. We all got in the stream and sat down with her. My father lost his wedding ring, a plain gold band. A plain gold band. Everyone looked for it. I was the smallest, and I found it in the grass. I put it in my pocket, but it fell through a hole. They searched for days. It was never found. Was they married? My mother said to my father. My father smiled. Now I'm married to the barn, too, he said. When I walked out into the meadow with my older cousin Emma, she pointed to the meadow's edge. A red fox sat there, half hidden by tall grasses. Swallows flew down and then up again. Ice blue wings flashing in sunlight. The swallows wait to nest in the barn, said Emma. The barn boards were nailed. The roof shingles were nailed. The scent of herring echoed in the valley like the beat of music. And after many days, when the building was done, Emma climbed a ladder and placed a pine at the peak. Everyone cheered. The 8-foot long table set with wreaths of wild flowers, salads and bread and cakes. The drink cider made from my father's apples. After lunch, our father sat on the table. A photographer took a picture of all those who helped build the barn. My father raised a glass and thanked his friends for a summer's work. The barn will be called the 100-year barn. My father said, may it last 100 years or longer, and more than 100 of you helped build it. Cheers to you all. Later, my father would nail the photograph upon a barn wall. He wrote under the picture, the 100-year
100-year barn.
Built us, August 1919. It took a long time to finish the inside of the barn. There was a loft for hay and bins for grain. They built stalls for the horses and a space for the hay cutter and the baler. There was a pen for the cows and one for the sheep, so they would be warm. On the very last day of summer, when the barn was painted red, seasons went by. The cows were milked. I was old enough to help with the milking. Morning and evening. The horses put the plow and the cutter and the baler. Sometimes I rode and cut with my father. And the horses, when the horses' work was done, they ran in the middle and drank from the stream and rode in the grass. And lambs were born, and calves with small white faces. They followed me in the field and ran when I ran. Once, a lamb named Baby pushed me over and licked my face with his little tongue. The swallow swept in and out, in and in again. But that nest unbundled ladders, just like in my heart told me when I was little. When the cousins came to visit, we slept in the barn in our sleeping bags, reading by lantern light and laughing in the dark. You tell scary stories. Jack, said one cousin. When it began to rain, a parson with a baby on her back, sat in the doorway and waited for the rainstorm to end. We watched her until we fell asleep. The barn cat, Tilly, slept with us. Tilly sometimes caught mice when the mice played that she got bored. What fun was that mouse? She didn't care. She was well fed. She watched us. She watched us make hay paths and the houses in the barn. More years passed. I grew older and went away to school and came back home to help run the farm. There were weddings in the barn. My cousin Emma was married in a bright yellow dress with flowers in her hair. I married Masa, who had fallen into the stream years before. There were birthdays, and the 4th of July. Babies were born. New children played in the barn, making hay houses. Sometimes they slept in sleeping bags, lit by lantern light and whispering in the dark. The mice and the barn rats watched them, and when the children slept, the mice crept up to eat crumbs of cookies and cake. Above them a barn owl in the rafters watched the children sleep and the scaring of mice. More time passed. Tilly's kittens and grand kittens played in the hay and slept in the sun. Chickens strutted in and out of the barn like colorful queens, picking at grain. Joe, our hound dog, watched them. Some nights, Joe howled at the moon, a soulful sound, and the barn owl and her owlets looked down from high rafters. In winter winds, sometimes roof shingles flew away. Sometimes, tree branches hit the window and broke the glass. But the sheep and the cows and horses were warm in winter, out of the snow and the wind and the cold. Then, when spring came, we would replace the shingles and the window glass. And when it was warm and the barn looked worn, we painted it red again. It was as beautiful as the day it was built. My father called you the 100-year barn. I said one evening, because you will stand for 100 years or more. It was a moonlit night, and I picked up the broom to sweep the floor. Joe walked in with me, sniffing at something lying on the barn floor. What is that, Joe? I asked. I looked at them and picked up a net all made of sweet grass and the fur of animals that had fallen from the rafters. And then moonlight shone on someone in the nest. Something round, something gold, something I had lost many years ago. My father's wedding ring. I looked up at where the bud had passed. All these years she had done on everything. The animals, the children, in the quiet, in the sun, in the dark. Maybe she saw something from long ago. Safe for all these years in the barn. In the barn. I put the ring on my finger and swept the floor, smiling. And before I left the barn to sleep, I hung the wedding ring on a hook beneath my father's photograph of the 100-year barn.